Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI F1.5 Championship. We're today for the final race of the season in Suzuka. A few minutes left in qualifying and we do have two high tier drivers, three high tier drivers on the grid, two disqualified. Terence joins the championship contender doing what they can in this championship. Now we don't have the Alpine on the grid of Black Skull. I'm not entirely sure what the situation is for them, but it's a bit of a championship battle that they're kind of involved in, and it would be a shame for them to not be able to make it. I have a feeling that they might already be in the lobby, just not actually on track, but we'll send them another invite and then we'll be good to go. Terence, they need to score 8 points over Black Skull today and they will be able to take the team's championship for Red Bull. If not, then it will be all too frantic and the rest. It is Mark Tunick out on track right now, P5 for them. Wait 1 minute was just impeded on their previous lap as they try and compete for pole position against Addy, who makes their return to LSI. A few minutes left in the session to get everything done. And we'll see how it all turns out on track. But once again, the attendance is looking pretty good. And we've got Mark Tunick using the battery down the back straight. And I think they might be on a push lap here. And we are 2.5 tenths up improvement at the moment. That would put them, well, a bit closer to Yanaldi, but they need to find a lot more time into this final chicane to really give it a shot at gaining an extra position here. And this will be their last shot at a qualifying lap. It's going to be Mark Tunick across the line, and they improve by 4 tenths, but they just don't get there in time, unfortunately, for Yanaldi. The two Williams up in front of them directly for now. They're going to try and sort themselves out very, very shortly. It's Yokomolan just in front, and I think they've set their lap because they're on 1 lap older tyres, and they've also got a lack of battery in that car. Wait 1 minute is going to be the next car to start a lap, and we'll watch on board with the Swiss driver who has had some really good performances throughout races, but not quite been able to get the whole Grand Prix distance under their belt. Hungary, definitely their best result last weekend, or their best race, and they're going to try and go out with a bang here in Japan. The first corner coming up as you bleed it into turn 1 and bleed it back out and back in, up the hill, slowly getting on the throttle as you aim the car to the outside through the S's, daring over the curbs, absolutely perfect, planted in. And they're saving the battery in this part of the circuit to use it a little bit later on where the straight really kicks in, up the hill through Dunlop corner, and get ready for Degner 1 and 2. A brutal corner for the circuit, flat out for the first one, down the hill, trying to not lock those front tyres. And then once again it's going to be tricky under braking into the hairpin. That front rotation is going to be crucial. It's a little bit of a struggle to get that car rotated, and the rear end is absolutely screaming already. Now they use the battery in this momentary flat out section into Spoon Curve coming up next. A little bit on the grass on the outside and the inside. That's going to cost them some time. Once again on the throttle, darting it all the way to the outside up to the white line. To maximise that exit, you get all of the performance down the straight through one dirty R before you go to the heavy braking zone of the Casio Triangle. Under brakes, what's it going to be for Way 1 minute? Oh, it's a bit of understeer, still over the curbs nicely, flat out, foot to the floor, up to the line, pulling it to the right hand side. It's Way 1 minute on provisional pole position, 2 tenths ahead of Addy. Are they going to be able to secure it? I think they might be able to. Oh, once again right up to track limits, pushing it as far as they can. No battery left for the racing ball car on the grass as they try and use all of the track available. Nice and clean through 130R, but it's the chicane that's going to gain them the most time. turning in very early, but they still get it. It's a clean lap. It's valid. It's to the right-hand side. It's minimising track distance. What's it going to be? It's going to be Addy for pole position. Another 2/10 improved. Absolutely incredible. Elwain P3, Yanaldi in P4, and it's Terence in P5. Brilliant stuff. Right there, Terence getting that final lap in right at the end. And that is Addy in P1, Waywarn at P2, and Elwain in P3. This is going to be a brilliant race. We'll see you in a bit for lap 1. Ready, hold, go! Who's going to get it into turn 1? Absolutely brilliant start from Addy, but it's defending to the inside line as Waywarn Minute comes back through. They have the inside line, but they don't have the momentum. It's going to be Addy who holds on to P1 from the opening few corners. It's going to be Elwain staying in front of their teammates side by side with the McLaren and the Ferrari as Sulkin tries to make progress already. They're going to go the long way round. It's going to invite Black Skull into P9. They currently are. They're racing for the Alpine team, but actually racing as a Red Bull car right now. That's very ironic. It's going to be side by side. Oh no, that's never going to work. Into Degnal 1. There's a car off in the background and a DNF. Oh, from Seward. What a shame to see. The virtual safety car is out, and we've had a big crash. It wasn't actually Seward who crashed at that corner, but they crashed at the top of Dunlop, and that is such a shame. The Mercedes driver returning to LSI since 2019-2020, OG of the league. Unfortunately, their race has been short-lived. It's the Griggs at the back of the pack, but they do seem to have a full front wing. We are missing a front wing from somebody else, surely, because there was a bit of debris flying about for a brief moment. We've got Jericho Willis. We've got a restart already. Oh, there's going to be a bit of front wing lost, and that's going to be on the Mercedes of Charlie Bear, just up in front as they look all left and right to try and have a go at a move. It's not going to work out. It's Yanaldi who must have had an issue because they're down the order. The Ferrari pushing the Red Bull off. There's an Aston Martin in the background gone off. Once again, the Mercedes loses out. We continue to go racing, but there's a big split in the field. We're going to see Verve go for the move on the inside line of Yanaldi, who does not have damage, but just somehow lost their way in the opening sector of the lap just before the virtual safety car. It's Addy running away, 1.8 seconds, Elwain right behind, and Terence is currently doing more than enough to be able to take the championship, and that's Elwain going a little bit too fast over the first Egner, throws them off. They still hold on to DRS range somehow. They are very lucky, and I think they kept their foot in. Incredible stuff there for the Brit in the British team. It's Sulkin making more progress, the P2 sitter of yesterday, finishing the race in P3, but with time penalties they gained one. That's going to be Blacksko up ahead of the Griggs, and that is a lovely move. It's Jericho Willis into the pit lane, and we will see the tyre situation as Jocko Mullen has tried to go for a soft tyre, which is going to be very twitchy, as you can see they're already all over the place with that rear end. I don't know how they're going to be able to deal with it, but we'll see how it goes. It's going to be side by side. I've gone the wrong way on the camera as they tried to go side by side through 130. There's going to be contact and a little bit over the curves and losing the traction. Unfortunately, Charlie Bear is going to lose out to that one. Elway not able to make a move on the car in front, and I don't think we're going to get any moves down the straight either. So this is currently the top runners of the field. The Red Bull into the pit lane, that's Blacksko for Alpine. Promoted by 2 positions due to the higher tier drivers, so they'll be scoring 1 point. So if Terence is to finish 6th place, then they will not win the championship, or the team's championship at this point. Ooh, there's a yellow off in the background, unfortunately, and that's Jocko Mullen down the order. There's also the Griggs involved in that one. Hopefully there's no damage. Unfortunately, we can't seem to get an off-board shot. The Griggs with no damage, just a lot of gravel on their wheels. And it doesn't look like we've got damage on the Ferrari either, so they've managed to get away with that quite nicely. Fair enough to them. Addy, P1 by 2.3 seconds. It's this battle that's the closest, the furthest up. Terence almost within DRS range, but not able to quite have a go. Sulkin's going to be happy with that because it means that they might have a chance of getting a clean DRS overtake done. There's going to be the Griggs down the order as they make a mistake on the exit of Spoon Corner. DRS, it's available, but they're going to be a bit too far back. Sulkin, however, is going to have a go at making a move, and Terence knows that they're a higher tier driver. They can allow the McLaren to get in front without losing anything on the track, or in the championship I should say. Lots of movement throughout the field, not entirely sure where to look as it's all changing very quickly. Once again though, the closest battle that we've got on track is between Way 1 Minute and Elwayne, but no overtake just yet has been possible. The Williams will get another dose of DRS in a few moments time to try and have a go. They've got some battery in that car, but they don't have clean air. Whether they'll be fast enough in clean air or not, I don't know, but having 6/10 constantly to the car behind is quite confidence boosting. So I'm sure it's going to be quite a difficult ask to get past Way 1 Minute. Terence trying to get within this DRS battle, and they're very much on the limit. Using the ERS and the slipstream, Sulkin's going to go for the move on the inside of 130R and F1.5. That is a very big risk that they did not need to take at all. Somehow it's worked, and luckily Elwayne backed off as they realised that there's a lot more to fight for in this race. I think Sulkin's going to be feeling a little bit silly after that one in a tier that is not theirs. It's the inside line though. It'll be a more straightforward move with a lot more overspeed into turn 1 this time for the McLaren. As Terence 2.1 seconds after the straight in the DRS, so definitely not running that much of a slippy setup regarding top speed. They have the advantage in the corners, but they've had to use a lot of battery elsewhere. They're going to be catching through the S's. You can see how much they are catching, but it's going to go back away, so they do need to try and make the most of these corners. Elway needs to try and keep focus because they're currently looking at losing out DRS from Way 1 Minute. No mistakes for the Williams, and using some more battery could be useful because now Way 1 Minute is currently trying to hold on to Sulkin. and get within their DRS range to help them out in this race, and that would be a big risk to the Williams car. Terrence caught up a little bit since the start-finish straight, but here comes the back stretch, which is going to make the driver from Hong Kong lose out a lot by the time they get to 130R and to the following corners as well. In the meantime, Zerf has been catching Mark Tunix on a different strategy as well, trying to catch Yanaldi as well. They're all trying to do these different things, and Yanaldi does have a chance in this race after a pretty disastrous start, losing all those positions. DRS available for way 1 minute, and Terrence 2.2 seconds behind, and by the time they get to the first corner they're going to lose out even more. You can visibly see Verf is catching a decent amount. Now we see lap 5 and lap 6, and now the medium tyres are going to find their boiling point. The hards will be quicker within the next lap or so. That's where the switchover point will be. We'll still see some medium tyre running to try and get the tyre to go as long as possible before going onto the hard. But for now, Rush should have the advantage. And will they be able to, as a higher tier driver, dismiss of Terrence in the next straight? I don't think they would risk it into the chicane, but with a mistake from the Red Bull car in front, you can see the battery was flicked on there from Verf, trying to have a quick look. Turning the battery off is Terrence, and then Verf will have another go, but no, they thought it's not worth the risk. They're just going to have to wait a little bit later. We've got a good old battle going on up in front though as well, and it's battery galore for Elwain in P4, and there's going to be the move to the inside line. It will be straightforward in the end, and further behind Verf looks to the outside line of Terrence, and they do swoop through on the faster tyre at this stage of the Grand Prix. The switchover point is very much happening. Terrence didn't fight it too hard, and I didn't think they wanted to either. They're currently still, after being overtaken by two higher tier drivers, P4 for the current tier drivers, and that's more than enough for them to be able to win the team's championship. Mark Tunick in P7 hoping that this tyre strategy will become beneficial later on into this race. Yanaldi the same to them. It is Crazy Charlie Burt having a bit of a dramatic start, 20 seconds behind some of the field. Promoted by 2 positions puts them to P7, and then they've got a good old battle behind them, as that's going to be the Griggs ahead of Giacomo, who stays out on this soft tyre, and you can see how difficult this soft tyre is to deal with. I think they might have even got a puncture. No puncture for the Ferrari, but struggling with the grip for sure. They're going to have to make a pit stop at some point soon. The Alpine currently in P10 for the current tier drivers. That does mean that Terrence can't afford to finish 6th. They're not 6th because promoted by 2 cars would put them into P4. But with a mistake like that, Let's-Go might lose out a bit more. Jericho Willis having a troubled time this time. It's going to be a move for Sulkin ahead of Addy, but it's going to be, no, it's a mistake from Addy. I don't believe it. The race leader, I thought it was an overtake, but no, it's not. The pole sitter, the race leader, round with damage to their front wing. Absolutely brutal. And years later, after seeing Nifayan do the same thing in LSI F1, we see the racing bull hit the wall once more. This time, they are fortunate enough to stay in this race, but they're going to have to make an uncalled pit stop. That's going to lose out massively, make them lose out massively. They've got to do an entire lap as well. That's going to be into the wall, and I think Addy may have already given up on this race, unfortunately. I hate to say it. We're not going to watch that because it's not very fun to watch, and hopefully they don't cause a safety car. Michael Rayner also spinning out as they try and get their car the right way around. And they do find it eventually. Now it's Wayne and Way 1 minute continuing to battle. Sulkin now 4 seconds up the road. And it's going to be an overtake attempt surely from the Sauber. The inside line's chosen. And there it is, a clear move. Working together quite nicely actually. It's going to be Terence having a look. Oh, it's Verf making that move. It's Way 1 minute on the inside, but Terence goes all the way off. I do not believe it. They've managed to keep that in a straight line somehow, and they'll be good to go. But now, all of that advantage that they had over Mark Tunick as the tyre switch has gone, and the Ferrari is on their way. Way 1 minute is actually lost out. 2.4 seconds they're further back now. And it's going to be, it's Verf who's made that move, and they're going to try and hunt for the race victory. Addy left with a very long way to go in this Grand Prix, which is a shame to see. But their race is done, and their season is over. Second retirement of the evening. That's a mistake there, unfortunately, for Charlie Bear. Round at the same corner that we saw Addy have an issue. Elwain running on their own. It's Way 1 minute into the pit lane. Terence will be unleashed with DRS to help them to stay ahead of Mark Tunick for now, but this is going to be a battle that will heat up very soon. Way 1 minute into the pit lane. No front wing change needed. And onto the fresh medium tyres. So they're going for a double stop, which from what we saw yesterday did not work for Frantic. So this is going to have to be something special for Way 1 minute. That one stop is going to be almost impossible to beat. Elwain leads the Grand Prix. The higher tier drivers Sulkin and Verf will score a different point system. So the new race leader, after the issues from Addy and being able to get ahead of Way 1 minute, is working for them nicely. Terence in P2 now. Of course, pit stops will be something to look at. Jochen Mollen finally goes into the pit lane after 9 laps on a soft tyre, which is absolutely crazy. It's Mark Tunick in P5. It doesn't have the battery on through the high-speed section, which is an interesting call. But 1.9 seconds. Just see the Red Bull up in front, but a bit too far to really give a challenge and put the pressure on. The Terence is driving their own race and relaxing quite nicely, looking to take that team's championship with not too much of competition. As long as they score 8 points ahead of Black Skull, they will take the title. Currently, as it stands, it would be 12 points to... 16 points to Terence. It would be 8 points for Black Skull. So it would just be enough. Obviously, pit stops are going to come into play, and that's going to change some things. But that's all yet to come. Verf catching up to Sulkin, looking to try and take the second win of Suzuka, the king yesterday, checking out from the rest of the field. Sulkin with a battle all the way to the end. That's a yellow, and that's going to be Michael Rayner, who has another issue. No front wing damage. They move out the way, and now they rejoin the circuit. It's Charlie Bear, not Charlie Bear, it's the lapped car of, or the lap-in car of the Griggs. tyres in an interesting fashion. We see Elwain and Sulkin both into the pit lane onto the fresh hard tyres to take them to the end of the Grand Prix. And it's going to be a move for Waywell Minute very shortly. Verf unleashed. Waywell Minute and Elwain switching positions on the exit of the pit lane, and it was absolutely marginal between the two, which I don't believe. That's been about a 2.5 second advantage, I guess, from the advantage that they had previously. So a nice time gain from Waywell Minute, but they've got to do an entire pit stop again. These are the two race leaders trying to battle it out right now on track. Yanaldi, Mark Tunick, they're both going to be trying to do something with their strategy. Although it's not going to be quite so straightforward. And for Elwain's sake, they've just got to hope that they don't get distracted too much by the fact that Waywell Minute is pulling away at a rapid rate, because they're on a very different tyre situation. And Waywell Minute should be a lot quicker. Terrence into the pit lane, the championship contender for the team's title. Neither Frantic or Burnt is in this race. The champion of season 13, Frantic, didn't make it to try and secure the double, so it is currently all on Black Skull. Parents into the pit lane and they come out, but they've got two cars to overtake, Mark Tunick and Yanaldi. Currently they're only 2 points ahead of Black Skull, who does also need to, well, they don't have to make a pit stop, but they do make a pit stop anyway. That is a bit of a laggy Williams. Is back on track and not losing any time than we thought they were. And we'll have to have a look at the championship situation shortly and try and give an update, because the grid is ever changing. And we've got drivers like this man, higher tier, Jericho Willis, making progress through the field and changing the look of the order as we speak. Once again, the closest cars on track, Waywell Minute and Elwain. Elwain really thriving on this hard tyre, despite it being the slower compound. Should be pretty good. It's whether they've got the battery to really go for a move, though. That's the question. They are going to give it a shot. The inside line will be their choice, surely. There it is. The move's done. And the hard tyres are ahead of the fresh enough medium tyres. Absolutely incredible. Elwain is definitely looking for a good result here today. Now Waywell Minute in the dirty air, looking to try and get a move done at some point soon, I'm sure. Struggling left and right, realising the strategy call is going to be very tough, hoping that Elwain's going to be making another pit stop into this race, but maybe realising that that's not going to happen. I've used the session. That's more connection issues. We'll wait to get an update on this one. I just want to double check what's going on. I'm not entirely sure what the plan is with Michael Rayner. We'll make sure this doesn't happen next time, so I do apologise for this. Been multiple laps now that has been the situation. There's the move. Lovely stuff for Way 1 Minute. He's now going to try and break away if they can on this tyre, but will they be able to have a good enough lap compared to what they had before? I'm not entirely convinced. As we see, very close situation with the McLaren. It's Sulkin and Yanoldi looking to switch. As Sulkin tries to make progress in this race for their sake, they've got to be careful, of course, to do it because they are a higher tier driver. Jericho Willis currently in P9, their teammates. Sulkin's going to be looking at a DRS manoeuvre instead, as it's all over the rear end, locking the rears to Yanoldi. And there will be the move. It's going to be pretty straightforward already before the DRS has even been opened is when they were looking for it. And we will quickly try and get this invite out for Charlie and hope that they don't get disconnected again, because if they do, I don't think we're going to be able to do much about it. And that is that done. We're good to go. We're back into this. On lap 16 out of 28. Well over the halfway mark of this Grand Prix. Verf continues to lead. As they haven't pitted, neither has Mark Tunick. Sulkin looking to make that move on the Ferrari and dismiss of them in a very unconventional style on the inside of the hairpin. They get the move done on the better tyres. Yanoldi not too far away from the Ferrari car, but would they be able to do enough to get within DRS range and attack the Ferrari in the meantime? I don't quite know, and I'm not entirely convinced. They do get the DRS range, but are they going to be able to attack? They once again struggle on entry into the Casio triangle hairpin chicane, I should say. But they do have an opportunity to close in a bit. That being said, Mark Tunick is absolutely rapid in a straight line. That is pretty impressive to see from the Scuderia car. It's Elwain leading now from a medium tyre, Way 1 Minute in P6. They're not able to do anything as this tyre does drop off, and Terence is catching. You can just see how bad that medium tyre is relative to the other cars. Other cars? Other tyres. Way 1 Minute off the track. Oh, what a shame. Completely missed that one. Looking at the data, Way 1 Minute down the order to P7 behind Terence. That is only going to help the driver from Hong Kong with this championship. We're still yet to see Yanoldi and Mark Tunick pit, but that will be 2 positions gain for Terence. Whether Blackstone will gain that position or not, I'm not entirely sure, because there's a 46 second gap between the grids and Way 1 Minute. There's Verf into the pit lane. Surely we're going to see Mark Tunick follow it on as well. Where will we see Verf leave the pit lane actually, relative to the rest of the field? Mark Tunick is going to be leaving at some point soon. Is Verf going to actually come up pretty close behind Sulkin? Mark Tunick stays out, so they don't go into the pit lane, which is interesting. They're going to get ahead of Verf, but Verf is right there. That's Yanoldi into the pit lane, so they do follow the higher tier driver's strategy call. Not a bad shout at all to take it to the end of the Grand Prix. Still going to be a little bit long. And Mark's strategy isn't exactly a bad idea either. Verf is going to have to try and get rid of the Ferrari sooner rather than later. And they do actually move out the way. Absolutely incredible scenes. Mark realising that it's not their race to run not their race to fight with the Sauber. They're not going to try and lose any time by fighting. They allow the green car to pass with ease, which is interesting because Mark Junick would have had a good opportunity at getting a move. It's going to be the McLaren of Jericho Willis losing out. Twitchy on the rear for some reason. It's going to be the Griggs into the pit lane, and all the pit stops are kicking in. So the net race leader, Elwain in P4, currently for the higher tier drivers leading the Grand Prix the current tier drivers is Mark Junick. But they'll make their pit stop. Elwain will be promoted to P1, Terence to P2. And then we'll see P3 for Wait 1 Minute, P4 for Yinaldi, and P5 for Blackskull. And that means that it's not going to be enough for Terence in this race if it stays the way it is. Mark Junick into the pit lane, and there it is. But where will Mark Junick end up filtering out? No, actually they'll be ahead, so it's going to be only just enough for Terence to be able to secure this. They can't afford to lose a position, and they're actually competing for the victory, as they've actually got DRS range of Elwain. It's going to be a 1v1 to the flag. Lap 19 out of 27, and Terence with 1 lap fresher tyres is very much in this race. They've got a 6.3 second advantage to Wait 1 Minute, who's going to be making another pit stop. Mark Junick on fresh tyres. They've been jumped by Yinaldi after all of that, but it's going to be a fierce battle to the end between these two as well. Elwain P1, it's Terence in P2, 16 points for the Red Bull car. Wait 1 Minute. And then all the way to Blackskull is 8 points. So currently it's exactly enough. Blackskull's driven a great race to stay in this one. They just need Terence to lose out. Terence needs to see that yes, they can have a go at winning the Grand Prix, but do they want to win the title? They don't want to risk their front wing for everything. With Wait 1 Minute making a pit stop and a 7-second advantage, it's going to be over a 10-second advantage that they're going to have to the next car. So they can play the long game in this race. And if you know Terence, the long game is their middle name. It's not, but it might as well be. We're back in this race after some pretty bad connection issues on the soft tyre, which is a difficult one to deal with. Jericho Willis having a tough old race today. Not the way they wanted it to go. Involved in a little bit of a collision at this point on the circuit yesterday as well, which really put a dull moment on their final event. It's going to be the outside manoeuvre on the Red Bull, and it's pretty straightforward in the end. Almost contact into turn 2, but just staying out of it. They continue. Of course, as Jericho is a high tier driver, that overtake does not mean anything points-wise for Blackskull. It all stays the same. Stelkin, in the meantime, leads the way for the overall tier. Verf is trying to catch up on this medium tyre, but are these tyres going to equalise towards the end of the Grand Prix? And we're going to see a straight-out battle between DRS and ERS from Verf and Sulkin. It's Terence who makes a mistake and is going to drop down the order. They look to go for the move. They switched. I thought it was all going to change. And we almost saw exactly what I said we were not looking for Terence's sake. That was a close call. 1.5 seconds. Terence is going to have to try and find that gap once again to then compete for the victory. They've got to look at the longer game though. Wait 1 Minute leaves the pit lane on the soft compound tyre to take it to the end of the Grand Prix here, as they've already used the double medium. from starting on the front of the grid now to 20 seconds behind Yinoldi. Way 1 minute. Hasn't had the easiest race. You have to feel for them. Some brilliant pace though has been built up through the races that they have done this season, and I'm excited to see what they can do in the future. A reset could be good. It's Black's going to the pit lane. And the championship is going to sway once again. Mullen also going in for a set of soft tyres. Sulkin and Verf ready to fight it out as they go up the hill through Dunlop. Declan 1 coming up, and it's going to be an obscured view. The Sulkin travelling through both of the corners into the hairpin. It's now going to be Verf who has a little bit more of a difficulty, but I think the way that was kind of positioned, it probably wasn't too bad. They've got another ghost car to get through, which will be the Griggs. Just directly in front, following ever so closely. And a full battery for Verf. Are they going to go for the move here? Well, it looks like they might try to, but Sulkin is very quick in a straight line, backing off on the battery already. You can see that they realised they weren't going to be able to make a move here, but and through one now 30. The corner goes through. Sulkin's pushed him off the road. I don't believe it. What was Sulkin thinking? Verf takes avoiding action, and Sulkin is going to be very lucky to even still be in this race. If Verf did not move out the way, then there would have been a big old crash on the left-hand side, and there would be no front wing to at least one of these cars. Verf's going to have to try and have a second attempt. Elwain leads the way as Terence has caught back up. And they had a moment off the road earlier on, and they've been off the road twice, or had a moment in the first two corners twice in this race. Way 1 minute of a time penalty, unfortunately, but they're not going to be worrying about that too much, as it shouldn't affect them in this race. And this battle is for the current tier F1.5 EU Championship race victory. Sulkin versus Verf is the battle for the overall race, but it doesn't have an effect on a championship as such. This battle does. Oh, and Elwain! Once again, the lag tricks me, and I go all over the place, and I think Terence might have also just been a bit spooked by that, as they've now lost the gap that they had. So they've got to try and focus and make sure that they don't get distracted again. Jericho Willis into the pit lane in the meantime. With Black Skull making a pit stop, they're now 3 seconds behind the Griggs. They've got close to a minute to then catch up to wait 1 minute to then have a go at securing that championship position in the teams. But I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately, today for Alpine, as Terence, as long as they keep it clean, should have a good chance here. Verf gets ahead of Sulkin in the meantime into turn 1. It's going to be Terence pushing with the battery. They want to give it a shot here. The inside line is looking inviting, but they just aren't able to catch up by the time they get to the end of the straight. Is it going to be on the traction? The S section could be possible. They look to the inside to try and spook the Williams, but they're not. Cold as ice, staying in front. Terence is really trying to think about this one, because they realise that the battery is not going to be enough to make a move. So they need to go left, right. They need to try and cause a distraction for Elwain. The straight line speed is not there for that Red Bull car. The setup just doesn't allow it, and it's plaguing them in the race. They're currently preying on a mistake from Elwain that may not come. And that's Verf for the fastest lap, as they are now trying to check out of this race. and hope that their tyres do stay with them. Staying with them is Terence on Elwain, but no battery, or not sufficient battery to really go for a move. And they're just going to be stuck behind now. They've got to try and save some battery to go for a final attempt on lap 27. That's their best chance. Sulkin, no mistakes, and they might just be able to get back into this one. Verf has got to push and use every advantage. And currently, they're doing exactly what they need to as they extend to 2 seconds. Verf just seems to be the king of Suzuka. I don't know what to say. Duhamel retires from the session at a corner that is retiring on track. There you go. That makes more sense. Rinaldi in P6. They've got 2 seconds to Mark Junick ahead. The strategy unfortunately didn't work out today. Hards to mediums. It just meant that they lost out a bit too much at the start. And that's what's affected their race today. Both of these guys definitely podium contenders when they can. And, well, Mark is on the podium for the current tier drivers. So there you go. No position for now, but it is going to be Terence very close to the back of the Williams, closer than they've ever been, and they are going to use the battery this time. It might be their only chance to give it a go. The outside line is surely going to be chosen, and they swoop through. Is it going to be a comeback? The Williams tries to have a go on the inside line, but the downforce kicks in, and Terence holds it. Absolutely incredible. Skirting around the outside. There it is. P1 for Terence as they try and make a statement in securing the team's championship by getting a victory. How about that? That would be the perfect way to end off the season, and they've had a brilliant battle to get that one done as well. Last season they had a few complaints. The attendance wasn't great. They got many podiums. They got many podiums in a row. They were absolutely loving the results, but not the way they were getting it. And now we switch to 2025, and Terence has had multiple race wins in a season with a much bigger grid and a brilliant battle all the way to the end. It's Verf who starts the final lap of the Grand Prix. It's Terence who is about to start the penultimate lap, and they've currently got an 8/10 advantage. The downforce and the tyres are just absolutely flying right now. It's just whether the straight line speed is enough here for Elwain to have a move. DRS kicks in, but there's no battery. There's no battery at all for either driver. But you can see the advantage that Elwain does have in a straight line. It's not going to be enough. There's no way they'll come back from that one. And Terence is going to try and cruise this one to the end and win the title in Season 13 for F1.5 for Red Bull. That would be a perfect way to end it in Suzuka. It's been a brilliant race from Verf to do what they've done today. And I don't quite know what to say. We've had a brilliant battle between these two. It's not quite over yet. We're still waiting. Mark Tunick is not too far away, so Elwain can't afford to make a mistake, and Rinaldi is also in the background. You can see everybody coming together as the tyres all even out by the time we get to these final stages. A little bit of a story to see these guys make it to the line. It's Verf who takes the second victory of the weekend and Sulkin for a second P2, but we have to watch on board to see what's gonna happen right here. It's Terence getting to the final corners of the circuit to give it a victory and to take the title for Red Bull. Terence comes on the final corner and they win the Japanese Grand Prix. They are champions of Europe. Absolutely incredible. Elwain gave it everything they could with a brilliant battle. Mark Tunick takes the third step on the podium. Yanaldi in P4, just missing out, and Way 1 Minute will take it just behind. It's Jericho Willis from earlier on having a tough race. Babsko unfortunately not doing enough for Alpine there in the end. And it's going to be the Griggs in P10, and disconnecting earlier on was Charlie Bear. But it doesn't matter. This is the guy to watch. What a race. What a way to end it. On the podium with the higher tier drivers as well for the overall race. I'm sure Terence is going to be very pleased with that one. And that's the result. It's Verf for P1, it's Sulkin in P2, and then we've got Terence, Elwain, Mark Tunick, Yanaldi, Way 1 Minute, and then Jericho Willis with the fastest lap. Then we had Blackskull, the Griggs, and then disconnecting was Charlie Bear, followed by the DNFs from Jokomelon, Addy, and Seward earlier on in the race. We export the results, and we go through the race director, as that was a hell of a race, with quite a few drivers on the grid. And then we'll go through the pit stop section, and we will be back in a little bit for the post-race interviews to finish off the season. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the post-race interviews of the final race of the season in Japan. That was one hell of a race. We had a brilliant battle for P1 for the oval race. We had an amazing battle for P1 for the EU Championship. And we'll start with Elwain. Elwain, you gave it absolutely everything. First of all, the start was crazy from everyone behind, but you managed to keep it clean. Addy had their issue. You stayed out of it. You also managed to get a way 1 minute. You did everything, but it just wasn't enough in the end. The tyres just kicked in nicely for Terence with the downforce. Can you take us through your race?
Yeah, it was a really good race. Had a great battle with Terence and wait 1 minute. But yeah, like it was a struggle with tires. I might have went one more lap with the mediums, but they were going off as well. So no, it was a good race. I just tried to hold on with a one stop because you can save quite a bit of time if you can save the tires just that little bit. So yeah. It was a good race. Shame I couldn't get the win, but well done to Terence for just snatching it off me there at the end.
Yeah, for sure. It was very good, and I'll be honest, I didn't see you losing it for a while, but he just did a very good job today. Congratulations, you should be happy with your performance. Are you looking forward to the next season? Do you think you'll be one for the title?
Well, yeah, hopefully it'll be a good, like, if I can get there, that'll be good. But had podiums for the past 3 events, is it, or something?
I think so.
So hopefully I can keep that going.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Thank you very much. Really good job, and we'll see you next time. Well done, Owen.
Yeah, thank you.
And we move on to Sulkin. Sulkin, a very, very good effort to get through the field. Unfortunately, Verf just had it there. Seemed to be the king of Suzuki yesterday, the samurai. And today it just was a little bit too much. How were the tyres towards the end? Did you think that maybe it was going to be possible to catch him back up at the end, or do you think it was just all gone?
Yeah, well, when I saw Worth having like the hard tires yesterday, he did the same, I think. So I knew he was going to be fast, and I knew he was going to be with me on the last few laps, but did not expect him to be there as soon as he was, like lap 22 or something. And yeah, the tire like advantage he had was crazy. I think my tire wear was like when he got around to me, I got like 30% or something. So yeah, but to the last like. The last stint of mine was very bad, so I expected him to be there. So yeah, it was quite obvious that he would catch up, but did not expect him to catch up that fast and that quick. But yeah, good race though. Nice to see Red Bull taking the championship today. Congratulations to Terence and Burns, and yeah, see you at the next season, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see if Red Bull can do it tomorrow as well. But yeah, very good job today from Terence. So good ride there. We'll speak to him in a moment. Thank you very much, Shulkin. Really good effort today. It was great to see you on track, and we'll see you next time. And we move on to the team's champion, Red Bull, with Terence. Terence, absolutely amazing. What a race you had. It was all looking a little bit tricky further behind because the strategy was going all over the place, and I wasn't sure if you were going to be able to do it or not. But then you made a bit of a statement and you went and took the win anyway, just because why not? And in style, you take the title. Can you take us through the race, how it went?
The story start with my stomach.
Oh no.
And then I tried to make the race and try to stop the egg for a while. But it doesn't work. It's still painful.
Oh no.
I don't know how could I do that. Maybe because of the high T drivers disturbed the rhythm. Because I found that when thirst charge through the field, they are a little bit more slower. And also, maybe I just didn't have the ability to push to the limit when the car is heavy. But when the car is getting lighter and also their tire getting more degradation than me, my lap time start to be more competitive than I expected. So it's crazy that I could put a victory from qualifying P5, which is not my best time, obviously. Best lap is around 27.6, but I can't believe it. Maybe because of the stomach. I don't know. Maybe because of midnight. Now it's 5:30 a.m. But yeah, still glad to do it. Very,
it all
very
worth it?
joyful. Yeah, worth it. Worth it. Later, I still need to go to the washroom. Okay.
Well, I won't keep you for too much longer, but I was saying on the stream earlier on, from last season where you were getting the podiums, but there wasn't much attendance, and you weren't happy with that because you wanted a bit more. We've got 15 drivers on the grid, and you've taken the victory. Congratulations on the title. You deserve it. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Go and get yourself sorted out. Thank you, Terence.
Thank you.
And that's been it for LSI in 2025. We'll see you for a few casual live streams over the next few weeks. But for now, for League Racing, we'll see you in 2026. Have a good one, and bye-bye. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.